Hello, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar entitled Proving Irreparable Harm with Consumer Surveys. Today we'll cover common issues and considerations for designing and evaluating surveys for preliminary injunctions. But before we jump in too far today, let's start with some introductions. My name is Brian Sowers, and I manage the litigation practice here at AMS. I also serve as a testifying survey expert in matters related to trademark and trade dress infringement, as well as false advertising. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Marcello Santana and Paige.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks again to everyone for joining today's webinar. So my name is Marcello Santana. I'm a senior manager within the Applied Marketing Sciences litigation support team. And in this role, I manage market research projects that measure likelihood of confusion, secondary meaning, materiality, false advertising, and other topics or claims that are related to IP litigation. So that's me, but I'm also joined by my colleague, Paige, who works as a senior analyst and also in the litigation support team. And I'll turn it over to her for a quick introduction.
Thank you, Marcello. My name is Paige, and as Marcello mentioned, I'm a senior analyst here at AMS. I also work to develop and analyze consumer perception surveys that cover a wide range of litigation cases. Before we jump in too far with today's webinar, I should also mention that all microphones are on mute to minimize noise, so that everyone joining us today can hear. We will take questions at the end, and I'd encourage you to submit your questions by typing them in the chat window on the right side of your screen. As for the agenda for today's webinar, we will discuss a recent case involving irreparable harm, what constitutes irreparable harm, and what is presumed and necessary in order to show that irreparable harm has occurred. Most importantly, we will share the results of our independent research-on-research experiment to show how evidence of irreparable harm can be collected using well-known survey research techniques. Marcello, do you want to get us started by talking about the research project we undertook with the case Puma versus Forever 21?
Sure. Thanks, Laura. So let's get started with an overview of when consumer surveys can be useful in proving irreparable harm, by first discussing a recent case that caught our attention. And that case is Puma versus Forever 21. In 2014, Puma began collaborating with Rihanna, who's a music artist, some of you might know, to design and market women's clothing and footwear. And the collaborations between the two were to be created specifically under Puma's Fenty label. So in that year, 3 footwear models were designed and marketed under this label, and the models were called the Creeper sneaker, as shown here, as well as the Fur slide and the Bow slide, both of which are sandals, and are going to be shown later on in this presentation. So the collaborations did well, maybe too well. In 2017, Puma claimed in court filings that these 3 models enjoyed substantial success and often sold out within minutes. And shortly after Puma introduced the models, Forever 21 began producing what Puma alleges are knockoff copies of each of the models. And these include Forever 21's Yoki sneaker, the Fur slide, and the Bow slide. And ultimately, Puma claimed that these Forever 21 models infringe upon their intellectual property rights.